Hi, I'm Will Beckton.
And I'm Amber Beckton.
It feels like a 2-day weekend.
Welcome to Jett Road Studios Presents, where every episode is a pilot for a different show.
That's right. Today, we bring you 3-Day Champion, hosted by Christine Walters.
This podcast is a game show, which is new territory for us. It's a really fun idea Christine had for this, and the cast is just incredible.
Yeah, we got Andy Richter as our guest judge. Definitely one of my favorite people from the old Conan days. Really nice having him here.
Sarah Tiana is so funny in this. I love her. And she is from Georgia, just like you.
Yes, she is. Big Braves fan. Andre Hyland is a really talented and versatile guy. He's from Cincinnati, which sounds like an interesting place. And Jon Gabrus is a UCB guy who is a force of nature, almost in the literal sense.
Of course. It all comes back to UCB.
Eventually it does, yeah. Oh, and actually, Christine and I originally know each other from UCB. Back in the early days of the theater in New York. She was on Mother, which is a legendary group. Christine went on to become a very successful writer, producer, and development executive for shows like John Glazer Loves Gear, Chris Gethard Show, and Full Frontal with Samantha Bee. We've kept in touch over the years, and it's been great to collaborate with her on this.
It just sounds like a really fun room to be in.
I agree.
So why don't we enter that room now?
Jett Road Studios presents
3-Day Champion.
Hey, everybody. Please welcome Christine Walters.
I'm your host, Christine Walters, and this is 3-Day Champion, a storytelling podcast wrapped inside a game show. Each episode, 3 comedian contestants will compete to tell their most compelling, funny, personal stories in 3 rounds of play. Given that this is the premiere episode of this podcast, I thought I'd give a little backstory on where the idea for the show came from. My family loves watching game shows together, but our favorite part is not the gameplay. It's the contestant interviews at the top of the show, where the host, whether it's Ken Jennings, Ryan Seacrest, or whomever, prompts the players to share quirky personal stories that defines who they are to all of America. For a game show loser, it's one and done. But a winner must return and continue to share more and more revealing anecdotes about themselves. Which begs the question, if you were a 3-day champion on a game show, what 3 stories about your life would you choose to tell? Since I don't have the stomach to break any of our storytellers' hearts, each episode I'm inviting an expert guest judge to help me determine the winners and the least winners. Our judge will ask probing questions after each story and ultimately decide who will win our grand prize and be crowned our 3-day champion. Today, we have an amazing guest judge. He is a comedy legend. You know him from The Tonight Show and Late Night with Conan O'Brien. He is the host of the incredibly thoughtful and funny The 3 Questions podcast, as well as the Andy Richter call-in show on the Team Coco Network, which kind of gives away who it is. He is game show royalty as one of the highest-scoring Celebrity Jeopardy winners with a one-day record of $68,000 for charity.
Damn.
He is also a Celebrity Wheel of Fortune champion, having earned a whopping $114,000 on that show. Suck on that, Pat Sajak. There is no one more qualified to be our judge on 3-Day Champion than the super smart, super funny Andy Richter.
Oh, my God. I am thoroughly buttered up now. Thank you for that.
Thank you for being on the show. I wanted to ask you this. I came across a fun fact when putting together your bio.
Yeah.
Your last name, Richter, actually translates to judge in German. You knew that.
I did know that. Yeah, it means judge. It also means knight, like Knight. It was a title.
Yeah.
And I am very judgmental. Always have been.
You got any research on the last name Gabrus? I don't think it translates to anything that cool.
Contestant number 2.
Guy from Long Island.
Bailiff Squire.
Well, it seems like you're genetically qualified then to do this role.
Yes. I possess a lot of self-love, so I'm used to judging others.
Good.
But I will be kind. We're all friends here, and we have to walk to our cars together, so rather not make that awkward.
You drive the Lamborghini with the license plate that says charity on it, right?
That's right. That's right. Charity.
I won again for charity.
Yeah.
You're going to be a kind and benevolent judge, I'm
Yes.
sure. What do you think makes a great game show contestant story?
The same thing that makes any good story. First of all, it's got to be kind of tight and have a beginning, middle, and end. They should have a little bit of a surprise, or they should be sort of unique as opposed to just, I once met William Shatner at the vet's office.
Okay, so my second story doesn't work.
Uh-oh.
Your dog.
All right, well, we're going to get to know our contestants in just a minute, but there are real prizes on the line here.
Okay, here we go. You are playing first and foremost for your own sense of self-worth and pride, and probably to impress me, comedy legend, Celebrity Jeopardy, and Celebrity Wheel of Fortune champion, Andy Richter. That wasn't written down. I said that myself. However, because this is a true honest-to-God game show, you are also competing for real prizes, and I'm going to tell you what they are. Our runners-up, a.k.a. today's least winners, will receive a cup of microwavable rice-a-roni. The San Francisco treat doesn't just come in a box anymore. Now you can get all the extra sodium you need in a convenient microwavable cup. And a jar of turtle wax. It's LA, you have a car. Why not shine it up with a car wax that is absolutely not derived from turtle blood, meat, or shell parts? It's turtle wax. And today's first place contestant, aka our 3-day champion, received our grand prize, a very large gift certificate with an unforgettable nature walk experience from Hello Critter Yoga. You will enjoy the company of Hello Critter's yoga-loving goats as you walk the equestrian trails along the LA River. These goats will scamper, frolic, and put their tiny little hooves on your back as you downward dog under the guidance of Hello Critter's expert yoga instructor.
The goal is to win?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, if you want to throw the game to get the car wax, that's totally fine. Well, thank you, Andy.
You're welcome.
I think we should meet our contestants.
3-day champion.
Contestants.
Who the fuck are you?
First up, hailing from Calhoun, Georgia, we've got Sarah Tiana. Sarah is one of the funniest stand-ups in the game. You've seen her on HBO's Crashing, Chelsea Lately, and Brad Paisley's Comedy Rodeo. She is the woman who makes men in sports funny, right?
Yeah.
She has written for Netflix's Roast of Tom Brady, the ESPY Awards, and the Olympic Highlight Show with Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg. Sarah is brave as shit, having performed stand-up for our troops in war zones all over the world. Her latest hilarious special 44 is available on YouTube. Welcome and good luck today to Sarah Tiana.
Wow, thank you.
Woo.
I don't have any notes. I thought that was a really good intro. I want to know more about my name.
Yeah. Tiana, it's from The Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
Yeah. It means gumbo maker.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll be. You learn something new every day.
Well, next up, we have a native son of Cincinnati, Ohio. That sounded like Oprah. Andre Hyland is a SAG Award-nominated actor, comedian, visual artist, and a 4-time Sundance Film Festival writer-director. His TV work includes directing the cult favorite true TV show, John Glazer Loves Gear, which is where we first met. His feature film debut, The Fourth, is currently streaming on Peacock, where he can also be seen in the role of Zach on the new comedy series Laid. Hell yeah! Welcome, Andre Hyland!
Well, thank you.
Hey.
I'm going to give you a dossier about your name later, I guess.
Yeah,
or
just
something
email it
like
to me.
that.
That'd be
I'll
great.
email it to you. Is that okay? And last but certainly not least, we've got Jon Gabrus from Belmore, Long Island.
Hell yeah.
Jon is a hilarious actor, comedian, and podcaster. He co-created and hosted the comedy travel series 101 Places to Party Before You Die. He also spent several months in Nome, Alaska as the host of True TV's Santa's in the Ball.
Oh, God. Don't remind me.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah. You would have to literally be an employee of Turner Networks to know that. The 9 people who watched it worked in the building, gave notes on cuts. Yeah.
Exactly. Jon just wrapped up an epic 10-year run of the High and Mighty podcast. You can still hear him every week on the Action Boys podcast. Nice to have you here, Jon Gabrus.
Thank you for having me, Christine. I'm so happy to be here today. My name means homosexual penis clipping.
Oh, Gabrus.
Yeah,
I
I grew up in the 90s and 80s and 90s on Long Island, where my last name was brutal to have because it was a homophobic time and people knew what a bris was.
Yeah. Well.
All right, I get it now.
Yeah.
I was like, is that like a Costco sample of a dick or something?
Yeah, that is a hard name to grow up in Strong Island with.
Oh, yeah. I was either going to become a comedian or a school shooter.
Aww.
There's still time.
Yeah. Just still time to hopefully become a comedian.
See him writing a long letter in his car. Wait a second. Oh, no.
He just killed streaming executives.
I think we're ready for our first round of storytelling.
Yay.
Will and I threw darts at our
Kid.
Yeah, at a kid. At our guests' photos on a corkboard to randomly choose who would go first, and we hit Sarah Tiana.
Oh,
And why are the eyes scratched out of my headshot on the board? That seems fucking twisted.
that's my fault.
It's competitive, guys.
Mhm.
All right, well, I got my little index cards out here. So,
All right.
Sarah, it says here, you once rubbed elbows with Al-Qaeda.
Fun story. When I was growing up in Calhoun, we had recruiters in our lunchroom in high school all the time. And they'd say things to you like, do you want to be a factory floor manager or a hero? So when the Iraq War was happening in 2005, a lot of my friends from high school were deployed. I was like, I got to get out there to see them. And I had been doing stand-up for 2 years. So I thought, well, I'm qualified. And so I did all this research and I just like bombarded this guy from this company, Comics on Duty, this guy, Rich Davis, because he specialized in going to FOBs, which are forward operating bases. So we go to Iraq in 2005. A month before I got there, they captured Saddam Hussein. So he was still alive when I was there in August. Beautiful time to go to Iraq. Weather's amazing.
He's a great laugher, generous laugher. Yeah.
He had a great sense of humor.
You want him in the crowd.
Why do you think he had all that money in that hole? You know, he was going to a comedy show. So we fly to Kuwait and then we convoy into Iraq. And then about 3 or 4 days in, we get stuck in this multinational forces camp called Diwania. We actually had a great time there because it was right next to this ziggurat where Sarah from the Bible, who I'm actually named after, was from. And then their house was there, which had like 2 little thumbprints in it. And the guy that gave us a tour we were like, what are those for? He goes, that's the thumb of the builder. So if the house falls down, they kill the builder. And then he starts laughing. And I'm like, was that a bit? Like, your humor is definitely different here. And so it was a multinational forces camp. So we had all these, like the Australians and the Polish, they always had alcohol, which you were not allowed to have as an American. I don't know, guns and alcohol don't tend to mix, at least in war. Definitely, you know, in the U.S. Yeah. You can't get one unless you're drunk where I'm from. So we leave and we fly out on Blackhawks for the first time. And so we're so excited because they fly so fast and low to the ground and you can see so much more of the country. So we finally get to Baghdad and we're supposed to stay in Saddam's hunting lodge. But first we have to go do a show. We get back on the Black Hawk after we drop our bags off. And as soon as we get in the air, the flares go off, which means you have radar lock on you. And so a rocket's coming towards you. So they shoot off the flares so that the rocket chases the flares. I know this. The major, I think his name was Major Hater, because we all called him Major Hated because nobody liked him. He was a real square and he flew a desk. So like no one had a lot of respect for him. But the flares go off, and he grabs me and this other comic, and he's like, "Oh my God, what was that?" And we're like, "You're in charge." Like,
oh, you stand-up comedian. What was that?
What was that? I'm like,
Get on the door, Tiana.
so anyway, they actually tell us what happened when we get back to the ground. It was like such a traumatic experience, but we like do the show, whatever. You just try to forget about it. And then we're like, all right, we can't wait to go back to the hunting lodge. So we finally get to like stay in like an actual bed. And then last second they go, actually, we have to make a drop off. So we are going to fly you guys off. We just have to drop these guys off at Abu Ghraib. And we look over on the tarmac, and there's 4 guys on the tarmac with like hoods over their head and glow sticks around their neck.
They were ravers?
This way to Burning Man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But not that kind of Burning Man. Yeah.
The glow sticks are in case they run.
Yeah.
I was like, are we going to Abu Ghraib? But they dropped us off first. And that was like my first 4 days in Iraq.
Were you doing shows during that whole time?
Yeah, the whole
like
time.
for the Poles and the Australian?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were only supposed to do 1 show at Diwania, but we ended up doing 3 or 4. We did like a secret show for the Marines so we could cuss.
Oh.
They love cuss words.
As opposed to those squeamish army guys.
Well, the Air Force, you're not allowed to do like nothing. And my uncle's a 2-star general in the Air Force, or he was.
Why? What's the difference?
They're just a little bit more buttoned up.
Oh, wow.
It's a Yelp thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a recruitment thing.
Yeah.
What is Saddam Hussein's hunting lodge like?
Well,
I'm picturing like Armenian wedding banquet hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a great comp.
For any
Yeah.
Los Angeles locals, you'll understand.
yeah.
You've been to one of these. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say a lot of dark wood, a lot of gold, marble flooring everywhere. It doesn't feel like rustic.
Do you get so excited when comics are sitting around bitching about the hotel they had to stay at, like on the road? They put me up in a DoubleTree. You're like, Craig.
Hey,
All right.
Craig.
I stayed in the hunting lodge.
What was your favorite thing about the Saddam hunting lodge?
The bed.
Oh, okay.
Because like I was the only girl, so I actually got my own room. All the other guys always had to sleep together.
Bummer.
What kind of review did you leave on Saddam's Airbnb?
Yeah.
You know, I still feel guilty about it. Because I should have been more grateful.
Yeah.
I clogged his toilet.
Yeah. The weird thing was that even the food that you would get there, so that the lake that you stayed around had all these carp, and the carp were bigger than this table. I mean, they were the biggest fish I'd ever seen. You would just throw your food in there. Like they were like, just throw it to the carp, and they would eat everything, like eggs, bacon, biscuits. You're like, I've never seen a fish eat eggs. Like hard-boiled eggs. And these fish were huge, and none of the local Iraqis or anybody that lived there would eat them because Saddam said they were magic fish. And these people are starving. He's like, if you catch that fish, the fish will tell me and I'll know.
I actually just saw like a TV special thing on how they caught him. And those particular fish were instrumental in catching him because that fish, whatever dish they make with those big carp, because it was his big celebratory food thing. And in his hometown, not Tikrit, but the little town that he grew up in, they figured out like, wait, there's a pond there that wasn't there before. They went down and like caught 2 fishermen catching fish for like Saddam's right-hand man to then get to Saddam. And that's how they got the right-hand man and then eventually got Saddam.
Was it like Looney Tunes where there was just a trail of fish bones?
That's why you have to vary your diet when you're staying in a spider hole. You can't just rely on one dish.
We think we found Gabrus. There's a dozen CGC wrappers outside this hall.
Well, that story is pretty amazing, and I'm sure will be hard to top.
Yeah, let's just give it to her.
I
Run
think
the
it's
round
very
two.
goat yoga already.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Jon Gabrus, you're up next. So it says here you used to do extra work in New York. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Yes, of course. I'd like nothing more than to fulfill the premise of the show that I agreed to do. Yes, I was an extra on an NBC program called 30 Rock because I played a writer who never spoke. And there was like a few UCB guys who got that role because Tina she said, I want 5 white guys and 1 girl, like every writer's room actually is.
Stu Galloway,
and so
right?
So it was like 5 dumpy white guys from UCB, all mutual friends of ours. And it was a lot of fun. We got slightly better than extra treatment, which was good because the extras on the show were fucking extras. Wild group of people. New York extras, particularly kind of crazy because it's not like that high of an earning thing. There's not enough productions. And also, quick aside, most of the extras are dressed as crew members. So you'll be like at Crafty and someone's like, it's fucking bullshit, huh? And you're like, yeah, it'd be nice to the grip. And then they turn around and it's like a fake walkie-talkie. And you're like, oh, I don't have to be nice to you, you fucking sicko. I'm just like nodding along like, well, that's an interesting opinion to have for the fake DP.
Union member.
Low light for me was we always hung out, all the guys, the friends of Tina, as we were called, all hung out in the same dressing room. And we had tons of downtime. So we did a ton of dumb shit. Like one day, they're like, all right, we need you guys on set in about 5. So, get back in the wardrobe, do whatever you got to do. The AD leaves. I walk, I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I jump up and like put my cheek out to do a fart as I leave the room. And I shit my pants. Oh, God. Like right when the AD was like, you have to be out here in 5 minutes. And I'm at Silver Club Studios. Everyone in the room knows exactly what happened because I like lifted my cheek and then went and like ran out like kind of like dee. So I go in the bathroom, skip ahead if you're eating while listening to this for some reason. Sick fuck.
Which, why would you be?
Yeah.
There's no good version of that plan.
No, I just thought I would get a cute fart and everyone would laugh and I'd be like, all right, time to go, And so I go into the bathroom at Silver Cup Studios, take off my underwear, wrap it in paper towels and bury it at the bottom of the garbage can. I'm like standing there naked in the bathroom looking at the pants. There's nothing on the pants. I'm like, okay, fuck. And they're like, hey, are you almost ready with the shots? And I'm like, oh my God. So I put the pants back on with no underwear. And I, normally you want to be placed near one of the leads so that you would be in more shots. It'd be kind of fun. And me, I'm just like, I'll stand over here by the bookcase just outside of the frame of the camera because I feel disgusting. And they're like, actually, no. Gabrus, can you come over? Yeah, okay. Stand over here by Tina. Yeah, okay, perfect. All right, over. And so I'm just eventually standing right in front of Tina Fey 1 minute and 30 seconds after I crapped my pants.
Well, hadn't you cleaned up?
I cleaned up. I was completely clean. I didn't get to take a shower.
Clean.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
you don't feel like yourself. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, so the stories don't have to have an end, you said? What'd you say makes a good story? Strong middle, kind of nothing at the end? One moment I do remember where I've never seen a crew break so hard was there's an episode where Liz and Pete have to pretend to be dating because it's better than the truth, which is that they're secretly trying to sell another show or a spinoff or something. So they have to lie about being together. And they're like, so you guys have sex? And Scott Adsit as Pete goes like, yeah, she's a screamer. And like, that's the joke and get some laughs. And then on like the third take, he just goes, yeah, she's a squirter. Tina Fey hits him right in the stomach and goes, my fucking kids are here today. And huge pop on squirter and then an even bigger laugh on my kids are here today. Yeah.
Did that make it into the final cut?
Yeah, I wonder. I bet you that's on some, like they played that at a rap party or something like that.
Right. It was in the blooper reel or something.
I wonder if Tina Fey has a story about an extra smelling like shit in a scene in front of her.
Don't be extra. Clearly had no underwear on.
Yeah. It was like it was just, I'm imagining it was just like a little escapee.
Yeah, it was
wasn't,
shart. It was practically a sneeze.
Yeah, he's a squirter. He's a squirter too.
I'm also a squirter.
I love that Gabrus was like, I just do a cute fart. As if like a cute fart is like in his repertoire.
Yeah, totally. I believe
I thought
he's
I was
totally
blast
capable
a little
of
squeaker, like
yeah,
a little hey, like on the way out, a parting shot, a literal rim shot.
Oh my God. I did 1 day of extra work on 30 Rock. I'm only bringing it up because I too had a bodily fluid thing.
Oh my gosh.
Not a shit or a fart, but I
just started lactating.
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
The guy's a pro.
You should go on game shows.
Not spontaneously. Like I had given birth like 3 months earlier and I didn't want to turn down the extra work, but like I was pumping and whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it. And I was in an elevator scene with Alec Baldwin, McBrayer, a bunch of people. And it was taking a really long time. And I start to realize I'm like, pretty soon there are going to be 2 giant stains on the front of my shirt if I don't get out of this fucking scene soon. So yeah, maybe there's a thing with 30 Rock and fluids. I don't
Silver
know.
couple drain you, baby. Yeah.
I can't believe, Andy, that you guessed that like before it even came out.
I'm always thinking about lactation.
I thought it was going to be stigmata.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been edited out, but Andy's interrupted about 5 stories by saying lactation with a question mark.
Well, that was great.
Great job.
I felt like it had a good. You stuck that landing.
Yeah, it's
You're a
fucking
regular
game show.
Nadia Comaneci with that.
You had to get your filthy ass near number 1 on the call sheet.
Yeah.
It's the dream, baby.
Next up, we have the wonderful Andre Hyland. Andre, it says here you had a real problem with authority starting at a very young age. Can you tell us about that?
That's true. Just to give a little context, as a child, I had a lot of trouble reading. I'm dyslexic, and a lot of schools weren't built for that. So anyway, I was a frustrated child. You might be like, that kid was horrible, but I'm giving you my little pity story first to start off so you can get a little of it.
Oh, I was a dick.
This is like the Cruella prequel, so you don't hate her for
so
skinning
you can feel
100
for the villain
dogs.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was in class, and at that age, I had kindergarten, then I was going to go to first grade, but I went to a thing called transitional, and then went to first grade. So I was already like a year behind in a sense. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Cut to first grade. I'm second grade age, so it's really embarrassing in a first grade class. Anyway, I'm reading, or not reading actually. I'm sitting by a workbook and they're going over it. I'm sitting in the back row. It was in kind of an old warehouse where all the classrooms are sort of divided by bookshelves, not traditional walls. In our classroom, there was an exit door with a handicap ramp. That comes into play later. The teacher asked me a question. I say, I don't know. And then she thought that I was being like rude, but she said, come on, try again. And I said, I am trying. And she goes, doesn't seem like it, or something to that effect. And then I just picked up my workbook. I was in the last row. And and also the workbooks, the ones you would write in and read along with. Instead of doing the stuff after a while, just out of frustration, I would just draw holes with my pencil until it burrowed through all the pages. So that's the project I was working on when she interrupted me. She said, you need to try. And I was like, I am trying. And then I just got up out of frustration, took my workbook and just slammed it in a wastebasket at the back of the room. And she said, get up here and write your name on the board. That means you're in trouble. And if you're in a lot of trouble, you put a check next to it. And I said something like, this is bullshit. And she said, put a check next to it. So in lieu of a check, I thought it'd be funny to write the equivalent of a smiley face, but it was a big angry face, with the same sort of details as a smiley face. And then she said, you're coming to the office. And then that's where I really disagreed. And what I did is I took the desk and pushed it towards her. And she jumped back. So one hit her knees. And then I picked up the plastic chair and threw it at her like Donahue Guest style and hit her. And then so as you can imagine, there was a ruckus. And I was like, oh, shit. So I just made a run for it and ran out the handicap ramp door. And this sounds like BS, but it is true. I ran out. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm way too impressed with myself. But anyway, I ran out the door. And then instead of just running off into the neighborhood or in the recess area, I just took my hide and go seek skills and I just immediately went right behind the door. So it opened and I was right behind it. So they all run out there. The teacher and a number of kids ran out and they're just looking and they don't see me. I'm gone. I just vanished. But I'm nestled behind the door that was open. And there was enough of a gap while they were all looking over into the horizon to be like, where did Andre go? I went back into the classroom behind them and went under a reading desk, you could listen to a tape or whatever. And I just pulled the chair in front of myself and just hid there. Literally hours went by. They sent custodians looking for me, teachers. They called the police. They called my parents. And a couple hours went by. And eventually this girl with a bowl cut, this girl, Sarah Joy, whatever. She's just being her, whatever. All of a sudden I see her head appear upside down in front of me as I'm hiding under this desk. And she goes, I found him. So she found me. So I was busted. Didn't work out at that school. So transferred me to this other school, which was like a church school where my brother was going to. And I only went there for like a week. So the next school was this a Waldorf school. It also was in a church.
That means it comes with walnuts and apples.
Absolutely. I was only there for 2 days.
And how old are you? You're like 6, 7 years old, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Wow. Because it would have been equivalent of like late second grade or third grade at this point. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I did go to one more school, and I'll skip that. And then I did homeschooling for 4 years, and then went back to released back into
lock you inside.
society or whatever. Yeah.
You had to be domesticated.
Me and my siblings were feral. There's lots of other homeschool stories as well.
Jeez.
Are you an only child?
No, I'm the second of 4.
Oh, wow.
There was 4 of us being homeschooled at one point, too. It was just originally my older brother and I, then all 4 of us. But
And where is this?
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, when we did homeschool, we mostly went to Subway and made videos.
Were you the worst?
I was the worst at school.
Oh.
My sister doesn't have dyslexia, but my older brother, my younger brother does. And sometimes, like, everybody would have their outbursts in different zones. Mine would be like at school, against the people who are causing it.
Yeah.
But,
I'm good at home, right, Mom?
Did you have to be homeschooled because your mom ran out of schools for you to go to?
Pretty much, yeah.
It would seem like it, yeah.
Went to a church school, went to a private school, went to Cincinnati Public, and then homeschooling, and then I'm forgetting one. Yeah.
Trade school.
Yeah.
Air conditioning at age 6.
DeVry. Yeah. Because like now, if a kid demonstrates like dyslexia in certain schools, they'd be like, okay, well, here's an aid that'll help you and give you the skill. And like, I see it with like family members where it's like, I'm like, yeah, you were like the kid who was the problem child in my high school, just had issues that we could have easily been managed.
Yeah. He was just left-handed and no one understood him.
Yeah, exactly.
But homeschool was cool. We would go to like Reds games and people would be like, "What? How did they have a school?" It'd be my older brother would be like, "It's teachers' parents conference." And they'd be like, "Oh, okay.
We're in school. This is school."
Jerry Springer tapings. Well, Jerry Springer actually started in Cincinnati.
Oh, hell
He was
yeah.
a news anchor there, and he was the mayor before that. Yeah, local legend.
A famous check writer, too.
Yes, his check to a prostitute bounced.
Oh, that's right.
My mom knew him. He he was very present in Cincinnati.
That's awesome.
Well, that's the end of round 1.
Yeah.
Andy,
Yes.
how are you feeling about the stories? Any big surprises for you so far?
Oh, shit. For listeners, Andre just ran out of here. He seems pissed. We got a runner.
I'm actually taking notes.
I see that.
Yeah.
You're taking this seriously,
I am,
and I appreciate
sure.
that.
This is important. There's a fucking goat yoga on the line here.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think we should just get into round 2. What do you say?
Oh,
All right,
okay.
let's do it.
3-day champion.
All right. Up first, we've got Jon Gabrus. Is it true that you are an adventurous eater?
Yes. I don't say no to foods. I think being a picky eater is a moral failing. If someone makes you something, you have to try it. I have eaten a lot for stunts. In the 80s and 90s before we had the internet, you would just say, I'll eat this giant cockroach for $1 or whatever. And that's how you made your money. until you started coaching
That's how
improv.
You made your money.
Were you a carny?
Yeah, I had carny tendency. I think like when Jackass came around, it really spoke to me because that's like what I was doing for the longest time was like, would you give me $10 if I just jump off this roof? And someone's like, sure.
Yeah.
Just trying to make money. But later on in life, I would put this to the test. It was here in LA. I hadn't lived here yet. So this was about 15 years ago. Me and my best friend were out here doing some sketch shows and shit. And a friend of mine worked for the local news. And she's like, we do this thing called My LA. And I know you guys aren't from LA, but it would be fun. We have these businesses we can go to and you kind of just like host a little segment. Wouldn't that be fun? And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I hosted a segment about this place called Origin Ramen, which has a like salad bowl sized spicy ramen that if you eat the whole thing, they put your Polaroid on the wall. Now, I'm good with gross food. I'm good with quantity of food. I'm not fully a heat seeker. The spice will kick my ass a little bit, but in combination with my friend who happened to be like an attractive woman, so of course I need to impress her, and the idea that I'm like, I said I'd do it. like I'm 25 living in New York. I've had non-packaged ramen twice in my life. It's so red. It's staining the white bowl and it's got giant floating peppers in it. And the guy's like, you have to eat those too. I eat this whole fucking bowl. I am sweating. I feel insane. I'm losing my mind. I never even went back to this place. It was too triggering. I never saw my picture on it. We went home that night. The two of us were staying at a friend's house, as you do when you're traveling to LA to do sketch comedy. And that night, I was up all night long with lava coming out of me. I thought that eating it was the most brutal part. And then I was laying on the couch just in searing pain. I stopped wiping. Like I made a bidet in my friend's bathroom. I just ran the ice cold shower and I would just like get off the toilet, turn, spread my cheeks and just power wash my ass and then just get back on. All my stories are going to be very scatological.
I'm sensing a theme.
Once I knew who the judge was.
Yeah.
And then the kicker to the whole thing is my buddy who is doing his segment after me went to a wine bar and he just had 3 glasses of wine for free and just was like on camera going, the red is delicious. I'm like, and I'm in the car, not even able to drink wine because I'm in the car crying and like rocking back and forth. Yeah. So I still don't do spicy, but Sean Evans, if you're watching this, I want to be on Hot Ones. I've got nothing to promote, and I don't know if I ever will.
Oh, yeah.
You did a good job. Like, I actually feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, like my ass feels a little
I'm
uncomfortable.
having a little
I feel
sense memory, and I heated up for sure. My body temp just like went up like 4 degrees. I could get out of school tomorrow if I had to.
I haven't. That kind of heat thing is just once in Amsterdam because they, you know, like their colonial thing was Indonesian.
Oh, yeah.
And they do this thing that's called a Richtafel, a rice table. And it's all like little sort of dim sum tapas. And it goes from hot to fucking ridiculous, like 7 little dishes of different things. And I got to like number 4, and I just felt like I've been poisoned. Like I didn't feel like I ate something hot. My body was reacting in a way where I just felt like terrible, you know?
It like can humble you in a weird way too, where you're like, I feel like a kid who's like, no, it hurts.
Yeah.
And nothing hits harder than, I guess I'll just say, I'll gender this, a man who's so confident in his spice consumption that absolutely folds under pressure.
Yes.
Yes, I'm talking about you, Uncle Pat.
Well, my ex-wife and I, it was the two of us, and she's from Louisiana. She went much further than me, but I was just like, I have no interest in proving my manhood by eating hot, peppery things. No, thank you.
I'm not really sure how that even translates to manhood.
I
Like,
know,
I don't know
it is
why
a weird
people
thing.
even think that
It's
is
crazy.
It's like the Trucknuts of Behavior. It just doesn't translate.
Well, on that note, on Trucknuts of Behavior.
New title of the episode.
I think so. All right. Well, speaking of big eaters, and I'm not saying you are, Sarah, but this is a terrible segue. Oh, God.
Come on, Byron Allen. You can do it. No, I'm just kidding.
Is it true that you earned the RESPCT of the Queen of Soul?
So, I mean, this was probably 2018, 2019. I had been opening for Brad Paisley, and my agents give me a call and they say, hey, would you like to open for Aretha Franklin? And I go, did you mean to call me? And they just were quiet and they go, yeah, after a second. I was like, all right. And they were like, do you want to do it? And I go, yeah. Are you crazy? Like, of course. And I would go, but why does she even want me? They're like, well, she needs somebody with outdoor amphitheater experience. And you have outdoor amphitheater experience.
From Iraq.
Sure.
Flattery will get you anywhere.
Yeah. I'm from Georgia. Me and Brad, like with country music, makes sense. They're like, well, do you want to do it? And I go, fuck yeah, I want to do it. I want to see what happens, right? And so I go up to Santa Barbara, to the Santa Barbara Bowl, and I show up. And backstage, it says Sarah Tiana, Aretha Franklin. Like, that's it. Like, that's the line. Like, Sarah, Aretha. Like we back in Detroit, right? Like, back in the good old days. And I'm like, are there any parameters? And, like, no one has any idea what I'm even talking about. Like, I'm like, are there any words I can't say? And they're like, what do you mean? And I go, you know what? I'll figure it out, right? I go, who's introducing me? And they go, well, that's why we handed you a microphone. And I go, okay, I'm introducing.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I seriously changed my voice.
Oh, I've done that. And then like you start running while you're talking.
Yeah. And I forgot to say comedian, right? I just say, please welcome Sarah Tiana.
Oh, boy.
So I walk out and no one has any idea a comedian's coming out. It has not been announced. Aretha's literally the only person on the lineup. It doesn't say Aretha and friends. Like, it says nothing. There's 4,000 people at the show. It's daylight because it's like 6, like, you know, whatever o'clock. So I go out there, like, for the first 10 minutes, everyone's like, why is she white and not singing? Like, this is the most, this is maybe the worst concert we've ever been to. At one point, this guy in the front row just starts going, boo. And I go, sir, I'm with you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel you. I don't want to be here either. But some of us need $300. I end up getting him to come around or whatever. I get off stage. I'm like, where is she? I just want to thank her for the opportunity. And they go, oh, she's not here. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. They're like, but if you want some free tickets, you can go watch the show. And like, I grew up poor, so I was like, free? Yeah, right. So I go out. I'm sitting down and I realize I'm sitting next to her family. And I'm like, oh, this is like Aretha adjacent, right? Like, I can be like, I got to meet Aretha Franklin's family. Like, I don't have to say the last part loud.
Do they recognize you from stage?
Yes, they are not speaking to me.
Yeah.
So I don't take any of that note, right? I just go, hey, my name's Sarah. I was the comedian earlier.
Yes, we know.
And I was like, what's she like, you know? And they're like, Aretha? And I'm like, no, your brother. Like, you know, like, of course, right? Like, I'm not doing myself any favors, right? And they go, we don't know. And I go, what do you mean? And they go, she don't talk to her family. And I was like, my first instinct was like, oh, man. But what came out was like, you can do that? I've never even thought to just, like, not talk to my family. And I was like, what a good idea. But, like, we're waiting for Aretha to come out. It's like an hour and 15 minutes.
Of just nothing?
Nothing.
Whoa.
No announcement, no nothing.
Wow.
And so the band...
The audience finally coming down from your set.
Yeah.
Finally just stop laughing.
Oh, boy.
So finally, they all come out and they make this huge announcement. The undisputed queen of soul, the first woman ever inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Aretha Franklin. Everyone goes nuts. She does not come out. And then finally, they just stop playing and walk back off stage. Like, clearly, she ain't ready, right? And people are getting very upset.
Yeah.
Finally, band comes back out again. Same announcement, undisputed queen of soul, Aretha Franklin. The whole place goes nuts. And she's wearing this giant fur coat because it, you know, was August. And, and she just starts singing. She's like, you better sing, like right into it, right? And then immediately, because she sounds so awesome, we're all just like, she's singing. And we like forgive everything, right? It doesn't matter because she sounds incredible and she looks beautiful. Like nothing has skipped. But then she does 3 songs and walks off stage. And these are Aretha songs, right? These are like 2 minutes tops. Like I heard somebody be like, the comedian did longer. She sucked. So yeah, I never got to meet her, but I did get to hear her sing 3 songs.
Wow.
Amazing.
I do think, though, if you go to see latter-day Aretha Franklin, very good chance that was going to happen.
Yeah, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, you wouldn't, like, expect your grandfather to, like, crush it on the monkey bars or something like that. Like, you show up and you're like, I'm just happy she's alive and I'm happy whatever she does is amazing.
Yes. And also, she does not give a shit.
No.
That's the other thing. Yeah. I once saw Liza Minnelli at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
There was no opening act, you know, and she wasn't coming out. Me and 8,000 gay men are like, and then at some point you just hear, guys, like over the PA, it's like, guys, it's me, Liza. Listen, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. There's some kind of technical problem with the microphones. So I'm raring to go. I'm chomping at the bit, but I'll be out there soon. I swear. It's not me. Like, and I was
Get
just
out.
like, wow. Yeah. And then she came out and did a hell of a show.
I thought you were going to say you went to see Liza Minnelli and Ron Funches came out and did 20 minutes on top.
No.
If anybody understands how long it takes to come out, it should be gay men.
Right, exactly.
That brings us to the final story of round 2. Andre, it says here, someone once threatened your life because you didn't know their name. My God, Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, this isn't going to make a good case for me saying that it's also nice, but
Yeah, right.
I was 4.
but also quick shout out to my parents who put me through homeschool. They didn't have me totally feral. We actually moved school districts so I could go to school that did stuff for dyslexia, like was reacclimated to society. Prior to that, back to this story you just mentioned, I had this friend, Richie, my older brother, Adam. There was another kid, Leon. Anyway, we were all a little group, but this time it was just Adam, Richie, and I. So we're on the front porch of our house. This is like the second day of a sleepover. And then there's this kid. I would go to this swim club every summer, like the neighborhood pool that we would go to. And my brother and I, we would battle these shitty swim team kids. They were all like, I don't know, like an 80s ski lodge movie. Like they were the shitty, like whatever. And they walked around in Speedos acting tough. It was the dumbest thing. And then my brother and I would...
That's a swim gang.
Yes, it was a swim gang. It was. The minnows. So anyway, that was a swim team. They were the shitty, snobby kids or whatever you want to quantify them. Anyway, there was this other kid, Brian Scott, who was drinking a can of squirt one day, and he was acting just like an asshole to us, which was strange because he was also like a misfit. Like he wasn't part of the cool swim team crowd. So like I would think there should be like a common bond between us.
Right.
He would act like a prick to us. And we're like, what? Like we're all on our own against the swim team. Like you're not doing yourself any favors. But anyway, Brian Scott, that's him. He was just a prick from the pool and kind of just a weirdo. And me and my brother and Richie are on the porch. So trots along Brian Scott and some weird minion of his own, and they walk down the sidewalk and they just start cussing at us. And so Richie is like down to fight. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm down. and I was by no means like a bruiser. I mean, as you can tell by my huge frame. So we get into it. We're going down the street. Brian Scott just punches me. And I was like, ugh. And then I grab, like there was like a long stick on the ground. Not a stick, more like the equivalent of a small whip, kind of a thin thing.
Like
so
a switch.
Yes. So I just grab it and I go whoosh, and just hit Brian Scott with it, which also sucks for him. Anyway, so that was that. So we go back. We're at our place. A couple hours later, we're playing Nintendo. And we hear, hey, you stupid fucks. Hey, you curly Q dipshits, whatever, all this stuff. And then Richie and I, being so bright, we're like, let's go fucking beat him up. Like there's two of us. There's one of him. We looked out the window. He's down there on his bike. Also, this kid threw a rock through our window, too, at one point. So fuck this kid. So we come down, go out on the porch. We're heading towards him. And he's just at the bottom of our little like path from the sidewalk to the porch. And he just pulls out a gun and just aims it right at us. And we're like, whoa. All of a sudden, everything is in slow motion. It got, as the real world says, it got real. And we were like, oh, shit. And then Adam stepped out onto the porch and luckily had good mind to say, put that shit away or I'm going to call the police. And Brian Scott, he goes, you don't even know my name. He's literally he's pointing a gun at us. And we all look at each other kind of confused. And we go, yeah, we do. And we all said in unison, it's Brian Scott. And he goes, and like quickly puts his gun away and just takes off. Which is just insane. So I'm like, thinking back, and I was like, this fucking idiot thinking, they don't know my name is the perfect crime. I can go murder these kids with my dad's gun or whatever, and they will never be able to trace me.
Also, Brian Scott drawing the heater on you also puts all your behavior in context where you're like, I'm not that bad of a kid.
Thank you.
Mom, I never fucking pulled a piece on anybody.
There's a curve here.
Choppers in the trunk.
You know where he is now?
6 feet underground?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. He's probably a tech giant running the country now or something.
He's probably a police officer.
He's a crypto bro.
Yeah.
My older brother is now a police officer, so he should apprehend Brian Scott. Cold case, reopen it.
Right.
Yeah.
All we have to go on is his name.
Well, that brings us to the end of the round 2. Andy, we've got stories of almost murder.
We're upping the ante. Even the shit story got more dire.
Yeah.
Diarrhea.
Yeah. I'm tallying it all.
I was going to say, it's like cumulative, you know?
I know.
So
I know. I'm furiously
I see that.
ciphering over
Do you
here.
need more paper? Do you want?
No,
Okay,
I got
you're
it.
good.
I got
Okay, good. Any predictions on where things are going to possibly go from here? Any?
I would never tell you that.
Okay,
It could be anybody's game. Let me put it that way.
nice. This now is for all the marbles, and this is going to be a speed round. It's for the turtles, the goats, the rice-a-ronis, everything.
Right.
Round 3. And Andre, we're going to start off with you.
Oh, okay.
Is it true you almost crushed your Nana?
Oh, yeah. I was like, just trying to remember. I was like, what was my third story? Yes. Now back to that not being a bad kid thing is, again, not a good case for it. So my dad's British. My grandma that lived in the neighborhood where I grew up with, we hung out a ton. And then this was my Nana. I only kind of saw her a couple times in my life. So I took full advantage of it. She was more strict. I mean, she was cool, but like I just didn't see her as often. And as you know, at this point, I'm already being homeschooled, and we're definitely like feral children compared to like a more conservative older woman from England. So she's coming to stay with us. Our parents are out working. We kind of had an open fridge policy. Getting something out of the fridge when you wanted it was just totally normal. And that comes into play. So like I wanted some ice cream, not a big deal. I went to the kitchen to get ice cream, and she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm getting ice cream." And she goes, "So you can't have any." And I was like, I mean, yeah, I can. We have some. Like, not even understanding. Like, no, there's totally ice cream in the fridge. And she's like, no, you can't have it, as in you're not allowed. And I was like, no, we can have whatever we want. To me, this is like absurd. Like, it's my house. I live here. That's the ice cream I eat. It's like, it's like, what are you talking about? So I make a move to get my ice cream. She tries to stop me. She says, no, and like tries to block me. She was not a spry grandma. I mean, she's older. She's a grandma, but she's Nana. Just imagine like, my dad will hate this description, but she had hair like Barbara Bush hair. She didn't look like Barbara Bush, but that kind of like style of an elder lady. She's much slower than me. I make a move for the ice cream. She says no, tries to stop me. And then somehow it became like, you're in trouble. I'm going to kind of apprehend you in a sense. And so I took off to go upstairs, and she came after me. This is so awful, actually, now I think about this. In my bedroom was a bunk bed. So I get on top of the bunk bed and I push the mattress off of the frame and have it hanging halfway over the doorway.
Yeah.
This is totally Kevin McAllister style shit. I'm standing on the end of the mattress that's on the bed frame to kind of hold it in place. And the other part is just like an Acme cartoon, just waiting like an anvil above the door. So she comes through the door, and then I just hop off the mattress, and this mattress just falls on my Nana, buckling her to the ground. And then I just take off running like, this worked. But I'm already thinking at this point, fuck the ice cream, because I think I took this too far, and I'm in definitely more trouble now. So I just run out the front door, like, I don't know what my next move is. So I run across the street, and at the time, cicadas were having a huge season in Cincinnati. And so they would put cicada poison, like lather it onto small trees and stuff just to kill cicadas. Anyway, I'm running across the street from my place, and I grab this small, skinny tree to sort of slow my momentum, realizing it's covered in cicada poison. My Nana just locked me out, which I get, I guess. Yeah. And then I was just stuck outside in the yard trying to get cicada poison off my hand until my parents got home.
That's a good Nana.
What was the repercussion?
Honestly, nothing. And they kind of thought it was shitty that she didn't give me the ice cream. They weren't fans of me dropping a mattress on her, but I was trying to skip a lot of that in the story. Yeah.
Well, didn't she tell them,
Yeah, she told her in her words. I told them in mine, But...
Nana was climbing all over the bunk bed. Yeah. She had a death wish.
How it is.
She tried to pull me off the top bunk.
When an old lady chases you, you've got to have a booby trap.
Oh, my God. Did your parents ever think about getting an electric fence for you or something?
Yeah, you got to wear a collar.
Shot collar, yeah.
Or flight risk.
I hid in a cupboard once from a babysitter that me and my brother were driving. This babysitter sucked, by the way. But anyway.
Everybody seems to suck.
We get it. Every one of these stories, you're the hero.
You're the one.
Believe it or not, there were babysitters that did like me and my siblings, but this one definitely did not. And it was like
I wonder why.
No.
It was like a window seat, It was just like a cupboard. So I hid in it. But you couldn't like latch it from the inside, so I had to close it.
Yeah, you had to hold it shut.
Exactly, so I had to hold it shut. So she's running around the house going, where the hell are these stupid fucking kids? Da, da, da. She sees my fingers on the other side of
Yes.
this cupboard door. She does not pull it open. She kicks it shut
Yeah,
with
I was
her
gonna
foot.
say.
Yeah, and just totally
Smashes your
decimated
finger.
my fingers. Luckily, my bones were still like wobbly enough as a child where they survived. But oh my God, they got all bent backwards like getting crushed in a car door. She called her mom and just took off and left me and my sibling Sarah. Not the story, but that's another aside. Yeah.
I think Andy tapped into something, and now I know why you're a director, because you can write your own hero stories over and over again. Honestly.
Yeah, there's also an element when he said homeschool was great. We just ate Subway and made videos. And I'm like, now that's pretty much what you get paid
Pretty
for.
formative.
Yeah.
The manager called us the Subway Gang when we were going there. We're like, it's the Subway Gang.
Wow. All right. Well, while we're on the Nana tip, Sarah,
Oh, right.
it says your Nana taught you to love baseball despite having a death wish.
Yes.
What's up with that?
Okay, so my grandmother, I was born in the East Bay. We moved to Georgia when I was 5. So my grandmother was always big Oakland A's fan. She worked in the emergency room at Kaiser. She delivered me. And then when she retired, she worked for the Oakland A's. She taught me to keep score. She taught me to love baseball. I worked for the Braves when I was in college and loved the Braves. Even before, when nobody went to games, you'd have 2 extra tickets, you'd put them on your windshield, you'd come back and there'd be 4. Nobody went. It was just me and my family, and they're like, you can sit wherever you want. And then I remember going to Oakland A's games when I was little, when my grandmother would be working, because she always worked the gate, gave out the free stuff, and then she would go back to her seat and listen. You couldn't talk to her during the game because she had her headphones on, so she was listening to the radio call. And I'm the exact same way at a baseball game. Whenever the Braves come to town, I get to go to one game at least by myself. My family does not get to come. I can just go alone. I just want to basically scream at the players on my team without anybody knowing what I'm saying. Anyway, my grandmother, I'm helping her clean out her house when she got older, and she was moving into a smaller apartment. And we're cleaning out her house, and I'm asking her all these questions about the A's. And I'm like, who's your favorite player? And I'm assuming she's going to say Ricky Henderson or Dennis Eckersley, somebody. And she goes, I'd have to say Matt Stairs. And I'm like, who the fuck is Matt Stairs? And she's like, well, he was a DH in the 90s and he was clutch. I'm like, I have no idea who you're talking about. So she pulls out this GQ magazine from under her bed. And there's this picture of Matt Stairs, right? Big dude. He never looked like that. He took the stairs. He was just a really weird dude. Anyway, my grandmother gets really old and she is over it. I don't know if you have really old people in your family, but there's a point in their life where they're let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
She'd ask us to unplug her every day. And I'd be like, you're not plugged in. I would. I'm the person to ask, right?
Yeah.
There's this one birthday, and my mom is like, what are you getting Nana for her birthday? I'm like, Mom, she doesn't want a birthday. We should get her that.
We should get her a pillow.
Yeah. Yes, I'll hold it for her as long as she wants. I realized that, as she got a certain age, that instead of buying her slippers or a candle or whatever, I would buy her things that I could inherit. And
Wow.
And she loved it. It was the only thing that she liked. So I got her an autographed Matt Stairs headshot and a ball. And she never liked anything or cared about anything. She had zero reaction to anything. And she welled up. She was so excited that I remembered it. And it was Matt Stairs, who I think she was probably really in love with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it bad for me to say he was in her spank bank? I
have no idea what she was doing, and I don't want to think about that. I'm not a bad kid like Andre, so my brain does not go there.
Did you indeed inherit the stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I did.
See, that's why I messed up. I didn't inherit anything as
Yeah. No, I'd be like, you put that where I can find it, because I'm going to get that back. This is just a loan.
That's so funny. You're one of the scorekeeper headset people, because you'd see those and you're like, oh, it's a thing. It's it's like the person with a metal detector on the beach, or in the baseball context. Yeah.
I mean, I also like going so that nobody can see how many hot dogs I eat.
Yeah. These are for everybody in the row. No one else wants one? Okay, hold on.
All right. Well, while we're on sports, Jon Gabrus, you're pulling up the rear here is the final story.
not the shit guy pulling up the rear. Not a good idea.
It's not exactly shit, this story, but we're circling it. Warmer.
Oh, jeez.
It says here you had a lot of school spirit in high school.
Yes, that is one of those like facetious setups where the real story is a kind of, in hindsight, a little dark, but at the time, a fucking rip-roaring good time. So just to give you suburban context, the pep rally is the night before the homecoming game. All the players are announced in front of the school and stuff. And I played football, and I was a freshman in high school. So this is like day 6 of high school. And I'm in advanced classes, which will come into play never again in my life except for this story.
Brag.
Oh, here's a little quick aside that ties into some other stuff we talked about. My football coach, who was also my history teacher, called me gay boy in school in front of everyone. So my nicknames were gay boy, garbage, and grab ass from 3 different teachers.
So it was a super progressive school.
Yeah, super
You're like,
progressive.
that's Mr. Gay Boy to you.
Honestly, on Long Island, that's probably considered super progressive at this point, to acknowledge someone's sexuality. And I got fucking wasted. And
At the homecoming pep rally?
at the pep rally. And we were drinkers. Everyone started drinking in like every weekend in 7th grade. Because anyone who had
Oh my
anyone who had older
gosh.
siblings, they were drinking every weekend. So 9th grade rolls in, we're like, this is our first high school party. We're sleeping at JP's house, which is always a cover story to be like, we're going to sleep at this one guy's house whose parents pay less attention. I remember my buddy JP drank like his mom's Crystal Light pitcher of vodka and orange juice. He just made a giant screwdriver in like a Weight Watchers cup. And I was drinking these like, they were called lasers. They were like 16-ounce malt liquors. Because the only place that would sell to us or to the pizza delivery guy that we ordered our booze from. Shout out to Paulie at Super Pizza. Hopefully you're still giving 14-year-olds 40s on a huge upcharge. We went to the rally and, you know, I got announced. I was fucking hammered. And then this girl who's a sophomore from a year older than me, and we're just talking and, you know, like, oh, yeah, from class, blah, blah, blah. One thing leads to another. We start kind of like making out. I'm like up her shirt. And it sounds crazy to talk about now, but this was all we talked about for these 5 years was like, at what level have you achieved on the bases format?
Right.
Yeah, baseball guy. Yeah. So baseball people, yeah, I can explain it to you.
You put the headset on when you break it down. Yeah. Keeping score.
I'm up her shirt. I got the bra undone. And then she starts undoing and I specifically remember I'm wearing like this pair of Quicksilver jeans that are just like a touch too tight because it's like the first Friday night of school. So I wanted to be cool. And there's a button fly
in the bleachers.
So I start receiving my first oral sex of my life. This is not in the bleachers. This is up against the flagpole, which is right behind the end zone where everyone who's leaving the pep rally is just walking past us. Gabrus, all right. I can't stop this. Like, this might be the only time this ever happens in my life. That ends this time. She's like, we should probably like wrap it up soon. Like,
Oh my God.
We should probably wrap it up soon.
Yeah, I'm saying what the producer's mouthing to me right now. We should probably wrap this up soon. So no butt stuff, unfortunately, guys. But
That came later.
You know, dessert course.
Sarah, when you're writing for the ESPYs, are these the sports guys' stories that they tell?
No, I mean, there's lots of old stories from the 86 Mets like that. That's because they're all on coke. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
Also, very misleading for what I thought high school was going to be. It like set the bar like a touch too high. I'm like, it is like Van Wilder. And then like, I would go like a year without like hooking up with a chick at all. I'd be like, oh, okay, no, never mind. The world is reset a little. Yeah.
Gosh.
And that, of course, will make you want to drink every weekend for the rest of your life where you're like, I'm going to live forever.
Yeah, it's funny, on all my feralness, I never actually got really into like drinking and drugs and stuff.
We gave these wolves drugs.
Well, I think that is the end of our gameplay time. Thank you so much for sharing those stories. I think they were really amazing. Andy,
yes.
I do not envy you in having to decide.
There's lots of reasons to not envy me, but this task is the least of it. So I did sort of think of this in terms of game show standards.
Yeah.
First of all, just starting out with serving the troops, like that's just like, how are you going to top that? Everybody eats that shit up with 2 spoons.
Yeah, that's where they cut to 8 guys in dress blues. Like,
Yeah.
clapping in the crowd. Like,
Yeah, standing in like Latvia at 3 a.m. And then I have to say, Sarah, it was a clean sweep
Wow.
of every round because you had the Al-Qaeda, then you had Aretha, like that pops. You know, these are all good, funny stories. And then the grandma baseball, I actually like the mattress crushing grandma a little better, but in game show standards, I think giving your grandmother a heartfelt signed autograph from her Spank Bank boy, that tops it. So you are the winner of the Goat Yoga. You are.
Wow, thank
So
you.
here you go.
Sarah Tiana, our 3-day champion.
And then you guys are so close behind each other, you want to fight over?
yeah, I'm starving, so if we can heat one of those up.
I got to say, I agree with this verdict. A, they were good stories, but then B, by your standard of like, it's like you've got supporting the troops, a celebrity that
Yes.
everybody knows, and then a heartwarming,
Yes.
America's
See,
Funniest
that's what
Stories kind of thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's not my personal preference. It's like the standard of like,
Yeah.
what a game show audience, and those people don't want complication.
Yeah.
A game show audience wants like, oh, the troops. Oh, Aretha.
Yeah.
Grandma. So like I say, they were all well told, but your topics could not be. And John, Ken Jennings isn't going to tell me another shit story, John.
Like day 3, they'd be like, all right, okay,
Yeah.
no shit. And I'd be like,
Right.
it's come this time.
Well, Sarah, I think that now qualifies you to maybe be a guest judge on a future episode.
Absolutely.
Also, you have a fucking panel story for whatever.
Yeah.
I know.
I did goat yoga in the LA River.
Well, I just want to thank everyone so much for doing the show today. Thank you to Andre Hyland, to Jon Gabrus, to Sarah Tiana, and our guest judge, Andy Richter.
Andy Richter.
For all of you, yes. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you, Christine Walters.
Oh, thank you, Jon Gabrus. All right, well, that's it. That's 3-day champion. Thanks, everybody.
3-day champion.
That was 3-day champion.
Man, everybody in that room is just so funny. And Christine did an amazing job quarterbacking that thing.
Absolutely.
What moments stood out for you?
I mean, there's so many. I don't think that you could really beat Sarah Tiana's stories, like the Abu Ghraib, Aretha Franklin's family that doesn't talk to her.
I mean, I've always been a big fan of Andre Hyland. He does this really amazing Jesse Miller talk show. And he's always wearing Bengals gear. So I always knew that there was like a Cincinnati connection of some kind.
Cincinnati and also like suburbia.
Yeah.
And I could relate to so much of it.
Like an anti-authority.
Yeah. And I
thing.
don't even know where it comes from. Like I didn't throw a chair at a teacher. I think I threw a chalkboard eraser at a teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, is that normal?
I wouldn't say it's normal, but it's not dangerous. I guess wayward kids was a bit of a theme in this because in Jon Gabrus, like with that homecoming story, in high school, my house was we're spending the night at blank's house.
Right.
It was like, we're going to be at the Becktons.
Yeah. So John is the one with the shit stories.
Yeah. He sure is.
I love the story about the carp.
Yeah. And the fact that Andy knew that about how the carp led to Saddam's capture I was like, of course.
Of course. That's why he's like this champion of Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Andy. And thank you, Sarah Tiana, Jon Gabrus, and Andre Hyland for the incredible stories.
Yes. And thank you, Christine Walters, for being so great to work with.
And of course, thank you to our dear friend, Michelle Trenton from Hello Critter, who donated the goat yoga.
Oh, you know what?
No.
Do you know who used to be the yoga instructor part of Goat Yoga
No.
with Michelle? Galit.
Oh.
Andy's old assistant, Galit.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Thank you so much for listening to Jett Road Studios Presents. Please rate and review the show on places like Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
You can find more information about 3-Day Champion in the episode show notes. You can also check out JettRoadStudios.com. And we are Jett Road Studios on Instagram and YouTube.
See you soon.
Jett Road Studios, where it's always pilot season.